because he can't call on your cell phone, and he can't call.
Where's he at?
Hold on, let me finish. And then he told me to tell you that he ain't doing what you think he's doing. He says, so quit tripping.
Hello. What's up, Clem? Hey, right now, dude.
And they even managed to connect words associated with the music biz also. Tape, CD, beat,
were all taken to mean quantities of narcotics. In the end, Boozilla was part of one of the biggest drug busts in Colorado state history.
Totaling 85 pounds of marijuana, a half kilo of cocaine, 6 pounds of methamphetamine, 5 ounces of crack cocaine, 23 weapons, and $185,000 of cash money.
I seen the newspaper. My mom came and was like, read the newspaper.
She just, you know what I'm saying, pretty much tossed me the newspaper. You know what I'm saying? I started reading it, man, just broke down, man. Heard about all these, you know what I'm saying, you know, how snitches is. And
even with the wiretaps, the government might not have gotten a conviction without one of Zebu's closest friends turning state's evidence.
A lot of niggas got scared around that time because it wasn't just no gang, it was the feds that had came, you know what I'm saying? It wasn't no gang, it wasn't no state police, no shit like that. It was the real boys came.
And then when another nigga get caught, you know what I'm saying, what he gonna do? What he gonna do? I'm gonna tell you everything, bro, if you just cut me a little deal.
People, when you cool, sometimes people try to take your kindness as a weakness. And that always leads to trouble, you know what I mean? Or what happens is you get people around who necessarily shouldn't be around just for the sake of being cool.
Once the government had their snitch, they issued warrants for the studio and all assumed stash houses.
The homie Doe had called me like he went to Boo's house, boom, blam. He wasn't there, the door was wide open, come get me. So I'm on my way back to the block, you know, the 55th block in Montbello. I'm on my way to the block. As soon as I hit the block, it's hella T's, hella, you know, unmarked cars or whatnot.
So I got on my bike, I'm a young cat, I got on my bike still in high school. I roll around to the studio, and I see them people at the studio like, you know, we got hit.
I give it up to that nigga Zil, man. It was just a bad thing that shit happened, you know what I'm saying? It's, you know, when the boys come, ain't nothing nobody can do.
Said this is the last place you seen him.
Right, it's the last place I seen my man Boo. You know what I mean? After he got caught up, going through all the initial court proceedings. So, you know, I felt like it was only right just to not necessarily recapture the moment, but just kind of, you know, talk about how it all went down.
This is the cat and mouse game that typifies the war on drugs in America.
In October of 1998, an experimental plan of action known as the High Intensity Drug Trafficking Area, or HIDTA, was signed into effect for the Rocky Mountain region. The goal of HIDTA is to bring police, sheriffs, FBI, DEA, ATF, and other law enforcement agencies together into a single organization unified by information.
Yeah, I heard of that HIDTA right after I got cracked. It started in Chicago, I think, with all the heroin cases they had out there. I doubt if they had it in Colorado, but then again, I could be wrong.
In many cities, this organization will be known as the Safe Streets Task Force. In Colorado, it's known as the infamous Metro Gang Unit.
The unit is comprised of the Denver Police, Aurora Police, Westminster, North Glen, and Inglewood Police Departments, with the FBI, Colorado Bureau of Investigations, DEA, ATF, and various vice squads.
Heading up this new super squad was Kathleen Tafoya, a young assistant DA ready to make a name for herself in the field of gang dismantling.
Although Ms. Tafoya declined to comment for this documentary, it should be noted that she is responsible for much of the way wiretap investigations are conducted nationwide. But when and how they come to the decision to use wiretap investigations is a major point of controversy. With such a complex net of surveillance having been formed before the 9/11 era, it's easy to imagine how these types of investigations have been increasing in size and intensity over the last 9 years. And now with the installment of the Patriot Act, revisions to FISA, and the War on Terror, it's easier than ever for the everyday American to get caught up in these proceedings.
The original wiretap.
Once a suspected major player has been deemed too isolated or too protected by a network around him to be under physical surveillance, the feds will place a wiretap on their phones to try to establish a network or syndicate they must dismantle. Whether you're moving nicks or bricks, for the average hustler holding down his territory, the supply can only last before you have to make a real call. During the intercept, a lower level dealer has been ascertained as using a slang reference for a quantity of narcotics. In a matter of minutes, the agents working the wiretap have accessed the low-level dealer's entire criminal history and possible locations from their HIDTA data sheets. During this stage of the investigation, members of the all-encompassing Safe Streets Task Force would tell the low-level dealer to establish what part he plays in the major player's organization. First, all the dealer's assets must be identified. They notice right away he has been claiming his living off making music. However, when the IRS checks his financial records, they find he has not paid any taxes on his business earnings in the past several years. The IRS investigation also uncovers the dealer's assets, including the music studio and promotional items like CDs, were paid for with cash. This sends up the IRS agent's red flag, and photo-video surveillance begins. The agents and police spent several hours over the next 2-week portion of their investigation telling the suspect. They are trying to establish a list of known associates and people they may later bring into their indictment. Every move the dealer makes in and out of his house, place of business, or car is new. They detail things they consider to be suspicious movements, such as hands moving under seats and blinds being closed during a particular meeting. In one of the final phases of physical surveillance, the police will often use a common-looking traffic stop to gain eyes-on evidence of criminal activity. A law called the Terry stop states an officer may pull over a suspected drug dealer, remove him from his vehicle, search the car, and detain him in handcuffs, even if no evidence is found. On-the-spot interrogations are also common.
The application process.
If a wiretap can be discredited in court, most often, it is on the grounds that it violates the defendant's Fourth and Fifth Amendment rights not to incriminate themselves and guarding them from illegal searches. In order to get past these rigorous standards, the government will try and establish that the individual they want to wiretap is in control of his own criminal organization. Wiretaps are more accepted in court when prosecuting a kingpin because the wiretap helps to uncover the kingpin's network. If the agent and district attorney are unable to prove from physical surveillance that an individual has a network protecting him, many wiretap cases die right there. But sometimes the agent and DA really want the criminal. In a few instances, some police may resort to provoking a confrontation with a suspect during physical surveillance. If a police officer can say they were spotted or were afraid to continue surveillance due to counter-surveillance, a judge will more likely follow through with a wiretap.
Yeah, I knew the feds was watching me before I got arrested, only because they wanted me to see them. It wasn't like I had super counter-surveillance or nothing like that. The reason they wanted me to see them watching me was so they could go and tell the judge they can't keep surveillance on me due to my counter-surveillance.
In the case of Xavier Davis, the physical surveillance was called off due to a confrontation Xavier had with an officer outside of his studio.
I thought I was smart when I used to always catch them watching me, but I only saw them because they wanted me to see them. When they don't want you to see them, believe me, you won't.
Any confrontation with an officer or interruption of surveillance can bring about the use of a wiretap. And in this case of a low-level dealer, he's about to get an upgrade in status.
Kingpin, the wiretap.
With the IRS having already established which businesses they believe to be fronts for laundering narcotics money, it doesn't take long for a judge to sign off on the wiretap of the target's cell phone and studio. The cell phone wiretaps are damning, and the dealer incriminates himself on several instances. But the studio wiretaps are different. The overlapping between artists and actual criminals trafficking narcotics is undistinguishable. The heavy use of coded terminology in the rap community to the uninformed observer sounds like gibberish. The final nail in the coffin comes late one night when they overhear an argument on the dealer's mobile phone. The police trace the other end to a close friend of the dealer and establish a tale. Once a reason to pull over the suspect has been seen, the officers attempt to locate physical evidence of criminal activity. They bring in the suspect for questioning. Only the questions sound more like statements.
We know, we've seen, and heard
are some of the statements that fly around. If you, maybe we, then finally, a deal.
Dismantling.
The task force acts quickly in moving on the suspected stash house. Sometimes the suspects get a fighting chance, but are soon overcome with overwhelming force. With the heads of the organization down, there's nothing left to do except to celebrate a safer world.
Copping keys and cakes, beef flakes, out of state, major weight, California freight, flying birds in the summer, every day in the winter, throughout the drought, year round.
Close your eyes and imagine being in these shoes. No, it's real life shit, but it's bigger than us. It's bigger than you. No, this ain't a game. It's real life situation, real stories, facts, not fiction. No. Suffering in silence, stuck, losing loved ones, taking all our young guns. The lazy things are true.
Imagine being awakened by 30 cops, feds, ATF, DEA, pork chops, storming through my residence, tearing up my spot. Drug sniffing canine dogs, I have not the slightest idea why they here, but I got one hunch, two thoughts. It's probably got to do with those 20 bricks I bought. Damn, my Mexican connection is hot. Damn, they taking everything that I got. I got to get me a lawyer, a good one at that, one with a strong mouthpiece that will go to bat, because these feds is gonna be pulling shit about woodwork, events from 5 years ago, digging up old dirt, and they claiming that my road dog squealing. Buster ass nigga 2 Jack started revealing everything he could the day they gaffled us on multiple counts on conspiracy to distribute in mass amounts. And here I am, sitting at the top of this shit. When it's all said and done, I'll be the hardest one hit. They need me to take everybody else down. big fish make all the little fish drown. At least that's the game they wanted to play. But I'm a motherfucking soldier from around the way. I wouldn't tell for $1 billion in billion days. I'm taking every transaction to my fucking grave. If only they could too. Everybody pointing at Zay Boo, except for Rika and Young Doe. My homie for life, folks. Chuko and Chuck D, Psycho and Heck G, Little Nathaniel, Bam Bam and Young T. And I ain't gon' mention the Transformers, cause when I touch, they family gonna be moaners. Hop in the coupe, cop me a throwaway and bend some corners. But until the year 2010, I'm a gone. They acting like we moving 1 million birds by the bus, selling ships of this stuff, but it's bigger than us. Treating us like we flying planes of cocaine from Colombia. Worldwide surplus, but it's bigger than us. Locking us up, throwing away the key, keeping it on the hush. Every ghetto's getting flushed, but it's bigger than us. Don P, Zillin' Doe, giving up game you can trust. Saving our soldiers is a must, cause it's bigger than us.
My folks from Seattle was trying to get back. I woke up and threw on my polo canvas and hit the track and grabbed my Qualcomm, hopped in the bird and shot across the town. Catch the Greyhound 4-4, took off and pull up. Grabbed my cell phone and called up Boo. I kinda knew something was funny when for some reason I couldn't get through. I didn't sweat it yet, I needed to get back on my toes. I pulled to the crib and knocked on the door. The door was kicked in, I walked in and looked on the floor. All I could vision was prison, hoping they didn't blast my nigga. Figured he had a strap, sold crack, and he black, I'm paranoid. Walked out of the crib, looking over my back, and now I'm thinking, couldn't have been a nigga robbery. With rubber gloves on the floor, took the Lex and it's 6'4". I'm doing 80 round the turnpike right off of the town. My eyes blurry on the phone, chopping up what went down. Pull up to the basement and walk up in. Made a quick call, hung up the phone, and grabbed my ears.